Welcome back, everyone. Our next presenter is Stellar Africa Gold Inc. It trades on the OTC Pink Sheets under the symbol STLXF and on the TSXV under the symbol SPX, and is a Canadian precious metal exploration company whose principal exploration projects are its gold discovery at the Tika Est Gold Project in Morocco and the Namarana Gold Project in Mali. Please welcome its president and CEO, Francois Lalonde. Welcome, Francois.
Got it. Thank you very much, Anna. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you. The floor is yours, sir.
Excellent. Let's get going with this. So, exploring for gold in West Africa. That's what it's all about with the Stellar Africa Gold. Start the presentation with the legal disclaimer, and of course this is standard for every publicly listed companies in Canada, at least, especially in the business that we operate in. Then the map of West Africa, you can see the three dots. The top one, of course, is in Morocco. As Anna mentioned, this is our focus at the moment. So we have a gold discovery that we've announced back in October. And we also have a historic permit in Mali called the Namarana Gold Project. We also have some pending permits, 3 of them in Ivory Coast, hence the third dot. But I will not be speaking about Ivory Coast since the permits are pending. I will focus on mostly Morocco, and then a little bit towards the end speak about the Mali opportunity that we have. First, the team. You can see myself in the middle of the top row. And by the way, I should say that the top row is where all 3 of us board members are fully dedicated to the company. In my case, I'm the CEO, have been for a little over a year. And I come from the heavy civil construction business. I have worked for several years, a couple of decades, for a French-based contractor. And they did have many operations on the African continent, some open cast mining operations. So I know about the business, have had the chance to familiarize myself throughout the years, and also have accumulated a few board seats in that sector of business. I've been working with Maurice Giroux since a little over 10 years, sitting on the board of Stellar Africa Gold. And Maurice was a CEO for several years, but now has chosen to focus on the project itself, and hence became the exploration manager for the company. So he's the COO, and both of us report to John Cumming, who is the chairman and executive chairman. So also sits on the board with us. Now, John has had experience in Africa, just like Maurice, for several decades, working in the mining field as a securities lawyer. He's based in Vancouver, hence the reason for the head office of our company, which is registered and located in BC, province of British Columbia, Canada. Now, the bottom row, are some board members, independent board members, and we do pick their brain occasionally, particularly Yassine Belkabir, who happens to be the qualified person that we use for most of our press releases, if not all of them. Actually, QP under the Natural Instrument 43101. And Yassine is a mining engineer, has studied at Imperial College in the UK, and worked for a state-owned company, Managem, in the country of Morocco. But I guess it should be told that Managem operates all over the African continent. It's got some exploration projects as well as some mine producing projects in Africa. John Ryan is the CEO of another junior mining company, mostly focused in the province of Newfoundland, Canada, searching for copper. And Lauren McRae is the independent board member doing mostly IR, ESG, positioning the company. So we do refer to Lauren occasionally. Now, the project itself. First, the Tishka Est gold project. That's in Morocco. It's a 90% earn-in that we have with a local state agency called ONHYM, l'Office National des Hydrocarbures et des Mines. It's a very good partner to have. We acquired the project during the pandemic, the summer of 2020. And right away, we started to do some surface exploration work. We had the opportunity to look at some of ONHYM's data, and that helped us to start focusing in the right parts of the surface or the footprint of the project. In the case of Namarana, it's a permit that we have had back in the days, even when I started working with the company over 10 years ago. At the time, the footprint was a little larger, and I will be speaking about it towards the end, but it's worth mentioning that we were able to renew the permit just last year, and now we own 100% of it. Smaller surface, granted, but still, we are 100% owner of that permit. In the case of Ivory Coast, as I mentioned, we have 3 pending projects, and with 2 with one partner company and another one with a subsidiary that we created in the country. Back to Morocco, you can see the city of Marrakesh right in the middle of that little yellow map of the country, and the project is located about 100 kilometers southeast of the city, high up in the mountains between 2,000 and 3,000 meters elevation, easily accessible with the national road network all the way to about 6 kilometers from the permit itself. I'll be talking a little more about the exact location the following slides. But for those of you that are familiar with the Fraser Institute, it's worth mentioning that Morocco is among the top mining jurisdictions, even though some of these data are young, the past few years, but it's a very good place for investments and for policy perceptions. It's, how should I say, a pleasant surprise in our case. We didn't quite know what we were getting into back in 2020, but we were pleasantly surprised, both with the partner and with the institutions that we have come across, as well as the workforce that we were able to hire throughout the project so far. Mind you, it's mostly contractors as opposed to direct hire, but it's certainly it's been a pleasant surprise. This sums up here the work that we've done the past year and a half. And I will go over each of these zones because it's a gold structure that was identified and starting back in 2021, fairly early, but then it's towards the end of 2021 that we, after having found the A structure, we found the B structure, and then we've applied for other permits in the regions, which we were granted at the beginning of the year, 2022, and we immediately started exploring those new permits and found the C structure on these new permits, newly acquired permits. So I'll go over each of these zones because many of the results from our surface trenching programs have been released and disclosed, of course. But the idea, since we've acquired this permit was to spend a little over $2 million US during the course of 3 years, starting with trenching campaign last year in 2021, and throughout the year until we announced the gold discovery in Q4. So Q1, we did some more streaming programs, as I said, on these additional permits that we got. And Q2, this was the time to build the access road for the remaining 6 kilometers to access these gold structures so that we can bring the heavy equipment as well as the drilling equipment to the drill pads. Next slides. The A structure is the first one that we've discovered, and here you can see the extent of the trenches that we did. Hand tools, of course, because we didn't have access to the zones with heavy equipment. So the 6-7 kilometers had to be covered by the staff on hiking trails and just mountain paths, actually. And they varied in depth between 1 and 1.5 meter deep. But these are some of the results that we found. And here, for example, trench number 2A, you can see the mineralized zones, which is weak, I should say, at both extremities. But over half of the zone is mineralized, and the grades are quite good. I will go over them quickly, but of course that presentation is on our website, and everyone has access to the PDF format that we've uploaded on our site. It can be downloaded easily. You can see here that this was the path that I mentioned where we were accessing these gold structure. And I was there back in February, and I happened to be standing right in that trench that is in the middle of the picture on the left-hand side. And actually, I'm looking towards the A structure at the bottom of the picture. In the back, you can see how steep the terrain is the structure B, and I did walk all the way up there to see for myself the trenches, and that is at the time we had just started building the access road. But what is worth seeing here are the grades that we got from the B structure, and the grades are compelling, even much better than the structure A. And also what we can notice from the little rendering at the bottom right-hand side is that the trench is fully mineralized from one end to the other. The average grade is just over 3 grams per ton. But then if you look towards the middle where that granite zones, where the gold is hosted, the concentrations are even higher, exceeding 8 grams per ton. So that is what prompted us to announce a gold discovery back in October. And immediately we started planning for a drill campaign. We knew at the time that we couldn't start until July 2022, just because we had to build the access road to bring the drill gears over there. But immediately we started planning for it. And as I mentioned earlier, we also applied for additional permits in the same area. Now, you can see myself here. I walked all the way up to the B structure. And right behind my shoulders, you can see that there is a trench at the bottom of the cliff, and that happens to be the trench number 10B. You'll see the results, but the reason that I want to show you is that Going above my head in that dark space is the shear zone that we have identified. And what it is really is, you can see on the left-hand side of that shear zone, there's this black rock material, which is a schist unit. And when it connects with the limestone on the right, there is a shear zone that was created that can vary between just a few meters wide all the way to almost 40 meters wide. Now, all the trenches that we did cut across that shear zone, and you can see them on the left-hand side of that slide. The trenches are all these white lines. Some of them were done in the first campaign from 1 to 5, so 5 trenches, and then from 6 to 12, we did some infill trenches right in between the existing, just to confirm. So there were 7 more trenches, 12 total that we've done. And the results, I think, were on the, no, I'm sorry, whoops. Here, the B trench results. So you can see the results of these trenches and the actually the increased concentration for each of these trenches, particularly when you have mineralizations over 17 meters. We are pretty confident that we could have doubled the length of that trench and probably find even more mineralized areas. Probably even if we doubled all the way up to 40 meters. So the C zone was found a little later, and this was this year actually in 2022, and we can see that it's a little narrower, and it comes right across these new permits that we acquired, and it reaches, you can see on the very left-hand side of that picture, the B zone, which I just showed you in the past. So the C zone is coming in the same direction, and you can see the red line and the black line on that picture. So the red line are the original permits that we had. That's why we found the B zone first, and as soon as we were granted the new permits, which are delineated by this black line, this was very early this year in January. We immediately started to do some stream sediments as well as some trenches. And again, in this case, we did 2 campaigns. So first we did from 1 to 6, and then from 7 to 13. So that means 13 trenches in total, 2 different campaigns. And we were very pleased to find the grades that I just showed to you here, which are not as compelling as the B structure. But as I said, it's because in part the gold structure is a little narrower. But the indications that we had was to at least organize the drill campaign near the B structure going towards the C structure. And that's what we've initiated very recently. I'll mention that to you a little later. What I'd like to show you that we did also on these new permits that we acquired, and you can see all 4 of them here, bordered by the black lines, and the red ones are the original permits that we had. The total of all these permits makes for a footprint of 82 square kilometers. And we not only did some trenches on the upper permits that we have here, and the more southern permits, we have not really done anything but just some grab samples for now. But on the upper 2 permits, we did some stream sediments, and we also looked for other minerals First, we concentrated our studies on gold, but then we looked for other anomalies also, and we found some silver, copper, lead, and zinc. And I will show you exactly where we located. This is one of these new permits, and these are the zones that I just mentioned. Now, those are the gold occurrences, and there were 6 of them. And again, that's from the stream sediment sampling program. But here, some of the same zones also showed silver anomalies, and 2 of those same zones showed copper anomalies. And then we were able to also find some zinc and some lead anomalies. So you can see here the permits. So we only did that for the additional new permits that we got in January. So now we may do the same for some of the permits that we had already, just to see if there is a continuity and if there is a reason to start expanding for other precious metals such as silver, for example. Now, I mentioned earlier that the main barrier of entry, if I should say, the obstacle to start doing the drilling earlier, was to build that 7-kilometer access road from the village of Analgui, and you can see that small picture right above the that shovel. There is a small picture. The village is at the bottom of the picture, and that red line is the alignment of the road over 7 kilometers. You can see at the end of the road, there is the structure B and the structure C, which are pointing towards each other. And that was the goal. The goal was to reach that structure. That was completed last month. And immediately we contracted with a drilling contractor, and they were able to mobilize just a little over 10 days ago. So we started the drill program as we had anticipated. We do not have samples yet sent to the lab. This is a matter of days before we do that, and very shortly, probably another month or so, we depending on how busy the lab is, we should be able to start releasing some of these results. We're very encouraged about the way our drill campaign is moving forward. That's very promising, and we just can't wait to analyze some of these results and see where the phase 2 drill campaign will take us, probably along the structure C now. And who knows, we might have to build some more accesses for drill pads towards the structure A as well. Concurrently, we will be doing some more trenches, and therefore we're just, we've only scratched a little bit of the surface of the total footprint of those 82 square kilometers at the moment. So it's very important that we have a better idea of what the whole sector covers. So that's it for Morocco. And now I might spend just another 5 minutes over the Mali permits, because we also did some trenching. The difference with Mali is that this permit is drill ready, and the results we found are also compelling. There is something that's worth mentioning on that project. First of all, it is located very near the capital city of Bamako, and that's what you can see on that map. The red line going towards Balamasala, for example. In Balandougou, you only see half of that word, but that little village is in the country of Guinea, and that thick line that goes around our permit is the border with Guinea. So that means we're very close to the border, just a few kilometers, and very close to that national road system, which provides for easy access, and it's very flat, which is different from Morocco. and easily accessible. Over there, the permit is a little smaller footprint, 52 square kilometers. And another fact that is worth mentioning is that back, I think it's in 2014, when we first had the permit, we were able to do some little bit of work as a joint venture with Newmont. They came over, did some magnetic survey. They spent a few hundreds of thousands of dollars, nearly $1 million actually, over the project, left all the data with us. Well, you know, these companies, if they immediately don't find several millions of ounces, they just go on and look for other projects. But in our case, we think that there is certainly some good grades and worth looking into, because in the same area just nearby, you do have other major gold producers that are currently extracting resources nearby. So it's easy for us to entertain discussions with other gold exploration and producing company, and therefore it is something that we have in the cards as well. At one point we will be looking for more seriously at what we have over there, but there were some zones that we were able to identify, particularly the mine sites number 2, 3, 4, and 5. To a lesser extent, zone number 6 also. We started a trenching program this year in 2022. And in that case, because it's easily accessible, we were able to bring some mechanized equipment as opposed to Morocco. And therefore, the trenches are much deeper, a little over 3 meters in some cases, 4, and much longer as well. So I will show you some of the structures that you can see on that rendering here from the trenches, number 3 and 4. And over here is an estimate of the structure and the trenches that were completed just a few months ago. Actually, the results were already released publicly. So the next step will be the ongoing analysis on the entire length, and we will have to decide at one point how we proceed for the drill campaign. You can see here some of the samples. Normally every meter we take samples in the trench, and much easier compared to Morocco. But the same granity zones here in the quartz vein that were identified where the gold is located. So for us, we haven't decided yet on the dates for the drill program for the Mali project, but that's something we will be contemplating soon as we analyze also the results and compare with what we have in Morocco. So this concludes the presentation. I invite you to ask questions. We have a few more minutes, and I'll be delighted to speak a little more with you, everyone. And of course, you can reach us, either John Cumming, myself, at our email addresses here that you can see on that slide, or on our website, very easily accessible. I answer all my calls or return my calls, so don't hesitate. Anna, I don't know if it's time for you to come back to the floor.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Francois. Great presentation. We do have lots of questions from our attendees. First of all, tell us what is exciting about Stellar Africa Gold's stock price these days.
Well, that's a question I like answering. It's an easy one, actually, because we've been trading, I would say, between 5.5 and 6.5 for quite some time. And because we have about 100 million shares out, that gives us a market cap of just a little over $6 million Canadian. which is a very small market cap for a company that has announced a gold discovery. We suspect that one of the reasons that we are flying under the radar, it's because the drill results have not been disclosed. We don't have any drill results to disclose yet. The samples are being assembled and sent to the lab as we speak, but we're very confident that as soon as the gold discovery that we have announced from the surface work that we did is confirmed with the underground work that we're currently doing, the market cap could easily bump up to 15, 20 million dollars, maybe more, meaning that the share price should just follow the same multiplier. So I think that there is much more upside, and we should see some of that very, very soon. So that's what's exciting about it.
That sure is.
No downside.
That's a great thing. Floyd Brown wants to know if you're expecting to announce additional discoveries from your Tishka project.
Well, yes, as I mentioned earlier, we've only covered a small percentage of the footprint of those 82 square kilometers. So, of course, this is an estimate, and those are assumptions, but I feel very positive and very confident about announcing some more gold discoveries as soon as we start looking at a larger surface of that footprint. I'm very confident. So my answer would be yes, but of course this is based on expectations and the hard work that we're doing.
Gene Bauman wants to know if you can give us a timeline to production and explain how the phase 1 drilling affects it.
Well, after the phase 1 drilling, there will be a phase 2 drilling and a phase 3 drilling, probably. We're a long way from production. Ultimately, we will have to work towards a resource at one point, but we're not there yet. I mean, we are only starting to see what's underground. We only scratched the surface so far. Certainly can't say how this will happen and develop. We're a long way from productions, that's for sure. For the moment, we're focusing on exploration and on seeing if there is a resource that can be announced.
Okay. Randy Henderson wants to know if you can talk about your proven resources and what the discovery of the new gold-bearing structure at Tishka, Morocco does to that.
Yes. Well, we announced the gold discovery after doing some surface work. Remember, those were trenches, and it's only now that we're starting to see what's underneath. So we're trying to establish how deep it is, how big that ore body is, and of course the concentration of the gold. So it's we're not there yet, and it could be a few more months before we get closer, but that's the idea. As soon as we start releasing the results from these drilling campaigns, for every results, we'll get closer to it.
Dennis Moran asks, which majors are mining around you, and are you interested in a JV with any of them?
Something that we realized when we started working in Morocco is that the country has a history of mining. It's mostly national companies, and there are a few international companies. There used to be one called Maya Gold Mining, which has changed its name not long ago for Aya Gold and Silver. It's a company that's doing very, very well. I guess their main project is located less than 100 kilometers south from where we are. It's a company that's listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange as well. So that's certainly one of them. We've come across some majors Rio Tinto, namely, that was roaming the area looking for potential projects. I don't think they have anything as we speak, but just to say that the country is attracting some major companies. And of course, to answer the second part of that question, we are open to discussing joint ventures with larger companies. We are open for any types of discussions, actually. So absolutely.
Wonderful. Whitney Hale has some questions about what the future looks like. How much money do you need to raise, and how much money will you pull out of the ground? Plus, name some important milestones to get you there.
As we are working on this drilling campaign, analyzing the results, we will be defining how many more drilling campaigns we will be doing in the coming years. And yes, we will need more money, probably this fall season before the end of the year. We feel confident that some of our shareholders and other investors will meet with us to discuss this part, but certainly some more drill campaigns, yes, in the coming years. So we want to make sure that what we're finding at the moment will be sustained by other exploration campaigns.
And are you John Floyd wants to know if you're consolidated in one geographic area. How far apart are your properties, and are they close enough that they can share expenses?
Yes, all the Morocco permits are close enough that we can consider that as one project. The gold structures that we've identified for the moment are about 3-4 kilometers apart. And that's close enough that, yes, we consider that as being one project. The other project in the country of Mali is a few thousands of kilometers, but it's a different jurisdiction. Maybe more major companies present in the country of Mali. Also some great potentials for joint venture opportunities. So that would be another project, though we couldn't consider that as being one single project. Of course, that will be another expense zone.
All right. Well, this is fascinating stuff, and beautiful countries you're in with this important endeavor. So, Francoise, if you have any closing remarks, please let us know, and please join us again in the future. Do you have anything to say to close?
Well, just that I enjoy this type of meeting with the investors, and I'm certainly open to discuss with any of you listening. So don't hesitate. You can just log on to our website, find out how to reach us. We're available to speak. Good.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us on our conference today.
Thank you, Anna. Cheers.
All right. Cheers.
Bye.
Great day, everyone. Thank you all for watching. So many fascinating companies we're presenting to you. So in just a second, you're going to be redirected to the registration page for our next conference in 2 weeks. Stay on and reserve your spot early. On behalf of all of us at the Emerging Growth Conference, I'd like to thank all of our presenters and so many of our attendees from around the world for helping make this conference such a great success. Remember that a complete replay of this conference will be on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Emerging Growth Conference. Please subscribe there and follow us on Twitter at Emerging Growth C. We always post new information on Twitter first. On behalf of everyone on this team and myself, I thank you all for watching and wish you a very successful rest of your week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for watching.